systems and the different things around the world. There's a very academic, conceptual answer, but from the world of business, what do you see as being different in 10 or 50 years?
Can I start?
That's a great question. Science fiction, go for it.
Having worked at Oregon, we dealt with science fiction quite a bit. There's a group of scientists known as futurists. Now, I'm going to take it from the academic level and go into Hollywood. Kind of spice it up a little bit. Steven Spielberg directed this movie starring Tom Cruise several years ago called Minority Report. It had nothing to do with race. Tom Cruise's character was the captain of the police department dealing with something called pre-crime. Trying to predict when someone would make a crime and stop them before they actually did the crime. Yeah, talk about Orwell, right? In there, Spielberg actually hired these futurists and said, what would a city, a major city, and in this particular movie it was set in Washington, D.C., what would it look like? Exactly to your point. You talk about systems. So cars weren't cars anymore. They were maglev system, pods if you will. Magnets, so you put a magnet in the ground, you put a magnet at the bottom of the car, and it's floating over the ground. So Minority Report, Tom Cruise, directed by Spielberg, highly recommended. One of his, I mean, he makes great movies, all of them, but this, to me, if you're a geek like me, you're going to really groove on this. Get the DVD. There's a whole section just with the futurists talking about how they came up with these sort of predictions. It is, I mean, so if you want to get a visual of what it could actually look like, this is it. There's a documentary film also, a little more, it's called Fuel. One of my favorite movies, and it gives really great graphics talking about how fuel will be sort of used, what are the alternatives. You know, not only sort of biofuels, but everything from, you know, wind, solar, and what it would actually visually look like. And I think what's important about this, and sometimes, you know, not all of us are Nostradamus. You can't always see the future. So if you kind of have it sort of, at least a rendering of it, it gives you a little bit more sort of tangible sort of feel to it. And I think the benefit is then you can at least have sort of a direction in which to step. That, oh yeah, this sort of appeals to me. I like to go towards that. And so I think in the next 10 to 50 years, this, I'll end with this quote. Ted Turner, the founder of CNN, he was asked a couple years ago by one of the CNN journalists, said, hey Ted, would you get back into media? And he said, you know what, if I was a young man today, I would not be touching media. He goes, it's a mature market already. He goes, I'll get into sustainability. He goes, it'll be the greatest business America has ever done. I mean, this is coming from a billionaire who's already been to the top of the mountain. So there's that sort of potential. And so I think ultimately the answer is, whatever sort of sparks your imagination and creativity, that's exactly where it's going to go. Ultimately, you will know what is best for how you want to live your life in the direction you want to see this country going. I wish I was 19 again, because this is pretty cool stuff. And you'd be a rock star. Take everyone to your classes.
I guess, you know, looking at the future, it's probably not going to be too long in the future when we know we're no longer dependent and no longer use combustion engines. I mean, we've got a lot of alternative technologies out there. There's nuclear, there's wind, there's geothermal, solar. Now, these have been around for a long time, and every time we approach them, they're not cost effective. They're too expensive. Well, the problem is we haven't factored in terms of internal combustion engines, all the other costs that go along with it. Not just the cost of the fuel, but the cost of the impacts on the environment, climate change being one example. As those get factored in, I think these alternative technologies start looking a lot more cost effective going forward. And as the fuels run out as well. So I see electric cars. They're all, you know, everything is, electricity is obviously generated by these alternatives. We no longer have to do with climate change, CO2 going into the atmosphere, pollutants going into the atmosphere, and it's all, you know, rationalized as being cost effective. Now, it may require carbon credits or carbon taxes or those things to put those actual costs into the combustion of fuel. But eventually, I think that's the direction it's going to go.
I'll open up into questions in a second, but being in Southeast Michigan near the automakers, I do get a glimpse of things that are quite interesting. I've talked to engineers at both Ford and GM, and they say the technology is there, it's done. This is very easy to have a car that you get in, and you tell it where you want it to go, and it uses Google Maps to get there. That's easy. That's a given. Even to the point where you get on the highway, and you turn the car over, and it will find the other cars, and it will form clusters going in the same place. You can drive tighter together. You will have less traffic jams. You'll use fuel more efficiently because you'll draft off each other. Again, they said this is easy. This is not far off in the future. Some exciting times. And then another issue that is really driven in Southeast Michigan is right now when you think about energy and foreign oil dependence or energy dependence, it's usually you have grid energy, you have transportation energy, and the systems are separate. We don't really use oil to create the lights in this room. We use oil to drive cars. If we can link those systems, we can optimize it to make it more efficient. And the way you do that is electrics. So that you fill up your car at night with electricity when the demand is lowest, and then you drive it during the day when demand is highest. If you can flatten the demand curve in our energy system, you can optimize it to be much more efficient, much more cost effective, and that, again, is not too far into the future either. So it's an exciting time for the young people in this room, a very exciting time, and I encourage you to look at this sector. And with that as trying to be an encouragement, with these wonderful resources up on the stage, are there any questions?